welcome to Queen Bee. If you're watching this, you've probably now opened your first pack of these. So you've got your deck of cards, a scorecard that works with a dry erase marker, detailed playing rules numbered 1 through 4 in that order, and then 2 quick guides that you can also reference. That's more of while you're playing the game, you can check those out. First thing to do is we're going to deal 11 cards per person and then 6 in the honey pot. So now you've dealt your cards. What are you looking at in your hand? Nobody knows. So we're going to start over here with the ace or the 1. That's the highest number in each suit. So there's a 1 of every color. The colors are black, yellow, green, and red. 4 colors to choose from. So it starts at 1 and then goes down from there, starting at 14 all the way down. And this is the order of the cards. So you see some of these cards say 15 points, 10 points. Only certain cards count as points. There's 240 points in the deck. So those are signified right there. So the Queen Bee, which is worth 20 points, it's kind of what the game is centered around, that sits between the 10 and the 11. So I would call it a 10 and a half. So if an 11 is led, that takes the queen. If a 10 is led, the queen could take the 10. Down to here, we go to the 5, and below the 5 is any of these bees. They all sit below 5, although they have 10 points per card, and the drone is worth 20. The drone has all 4 colors represented, as does the Queen Bee, and that signifies that whatever suit is called trump for the round, when you're bidding, you can call one of the 4 colors as trump. The Queen Bee and the drone bee and the corresponding color worker bee of the color that you've called become trump for that round. So right here, you're looking at 14 trump, and the other worker bees just stay with their suit. But those worker bees can be used on a trump-led hand to lay instead of trump. It's really fun, makes the game very interesting. So if trump is led, let's say black is led, and I have black in my hand, I don't have to lay black. I could lay one of these other color workers. That is the only time you can lay without following suit. Following suit means black is led, you have to lay black. Even if I have black, which is trump, I can lay one of these instead as a buzz card to replace the trump that's been led. All right, now you've been dealt your cards and you know what they do. So we're bidding for a honey pot. The honey pot is 6 cards. Each of us have 11 cards in our hand. What we're doing now is kind of betting on how many points I think I can get. There's 240 points in each hand. In these cards that were dealt, 240 points represented. So I dealt, so then we go clockwise to the person to my left. They start the bidding. And in bidding, you can either bid or pass. You cannot check. So it's me and Heather on a team and Merle and Jen on a team. So obviously you don't want to bid your partner up, but sometimes you have to. So Merle, you start the bidding at a minimum of 140.
I'm going to start bidding at 150.
I'm going to pass. I'm going to go 160.
65.
I'm going to go 70.
And I'm going to pass.
I'll go 195.
Oh, I'm going to pass.
All right, so what that is I'm betting that our team can get 195 points or more. If we get anything less than 195 points and they get what adds up to 240 plus 5, so 195 to 240, what do we need there, Merle?
50 points.
We need 50. They need 50 points, their team, because I took the honey pot. And a few basic rules before we start. There's a trump suit called every round. This round, based on what's in here, I'm going to call black. So black, anything black, then takes any other color. No matter the value of the black, a trump card, if yellow is laid and I lay the lowest black card there is, that card would take any highest yellow there is. Unless someone lays a higher trump than the one that I laid. If I lay a black 5 and he lays a black 10, his black 10 as trump takes my black 5. Pretty simple. A hand is played when, if I lead, all the other 3 play, and that's the end of that hand. I take those, and whoever wins that hand then leads the next hand. The highest card of the suit that was called for is what wins a hand, or a trump card on a suit that isn't trump, that has been led. So that's a few basic rules. We always go clockwise, and like I said before, if I win the hand, I lead. If Heather wins the hand, she leads, and you don't know what each other have, and so you're leading based on strategy. So now I've taken the honey pot, and it's these 6 cards, and I'm going to add them to my hand. So my goal was to go in black or yellow, and this honey pot is full of black. So we're going to keep all of those black, including the Queen Bee, which is black. We're going to ditch this 14 because we don't need it. That's green. We're trying to get down to 2 suits if possible, which looks like I'm going to do that very easily. So I've got these 2 down already, any red or green that I have, and then I'm going to ditch the lowest yellows that I have remaining. So I can ditch 4 of them. So I'm going to ditch 5, 6, 7, 8. So now I'm left with 13, 14, which means someone's going to have the yellow ace, but that's okay because I've got the next 2, and then I've got a bunch of trump. So we're going to play this hand out and see how it goes. So the drone B leads the first hand. So whoever has the drone B, which I don't know at that time. Before we start, if I'm dealt the drone B and take the honey pot, I can choose to discard it with one of these 6, or I can keep it as one of the trump. The issue is I'm going to have to lead with it, and my partner is the only one that can bail me out of that. So the other team has a big advantage if I have to lead that, because it's very low. It's the lowest of low. It's below a 5. So generally, if you take the honey pot, you're going to want to throw this away with the other 6 cards so that someone else doesn't have the chance to take your first hand of trump. So because I called black, Merle has led the drone B, and now we're rolling. So that's a whole lot of nothing. I'm going to take this with the lowest card possible to save my high ones. So the highest card is a 9, and my teammate Heather has that. So I can either choose to let her have that and get her in the lead, or I stay in the lead. Generally, for my preference, I would stay in the lead this early in the game. I'm going to take that with a 10 so that I control the narrative and she can breathe easy knowing that we have that. So I took that hand, leading back with trump. Merle buzzed in, Heather buzzed in, Jen laid a 13. So Jen probably doesn't have one of these off worker bees, which she would have loved to have because that's a really high card that I was looking for. So now that leaves the 14 and the 12 as the highest cards. So I'm going to lead that 14. At this point, I'm counting trump.
Again, I could be out of trump, or I may have trump. He doesn't know
Merle
that yet
has yet
because
to
I
lay
have-
a trump because he led the drone bee first and then has laid 2 workers after that. So I'm still guessing on if he has any black. So now the other 2 are out, and Merle's the only one that potentially has it. But I've been counting how many there is, and I also know how many are in my hand. So I'm going to do that just to play another round. He's got the 6. So at this point, all that's been led is trump. I'm going to lay 1 more just for safekeeping because that's basically all I have. He's now out. So I know all of my trump cards are the only trump that's left. And now I inevitably have to lead my 13, not my 14 because I don't want them to get points. But in typical, the way I would play, I'm going to lead 2 more rounds of trump just so maybe they hopefully trash a color of yellow, which now they know I have it because obviously we're explaining the game. But I'm going to do that. I have 2 trump left, which is the lowest worker and the queen. I'm going to lay my 13 and hope for the best. So they get that hand, and they got 30 points on that singular hand. Now they come back in red, but because I don't have any more red, I can take that with a trump. Now I have that. I lay my 14, which is the highest remaining of yellow, and last I lay the queen, which is a trump, takes everything that's there. So they got 1 hand worth 30 points. They needed 50 to take us because I went 195. So me and Heather win that round. I get 195 points for our team. They get the points that they scored, which is 30.
Included in the deck of cards is the dry erasable scorecard. And so in this case here, Eugene took the bid he bid 195. So we got 30 points on that. So I write 30 points for us, and he gets 195 for his score for taking that round. And after the second round is played, you do the same thing. Heather took this one at 200, and we ended up getting 80 points. So that's over the allotted amount. So they go down 200 points. So you subtract 200 from the 195, which puts them at negative 5 points. We add our 80 to the 30 for a total of 110.
During the game, if you're losing, your team has the opportunity to swarm. Swarming, the qualifications for swarming are if you're losing, and B, if you have 35 or less points. So for example, in this hand, I have 25 points, which is less than the allotted 35. I don't really like the hand, so I'm going to ask my partner, hey, swarm or no swarm?
And the partner has the opportunity to say no swarm or which way, as in yes. So you're giving them the option to chime in because I might have a killer hand and I'd prefer that she didn't swarm. So it gives you the opportunity to use it as an advantage. Whereas if you couldn't ask your teammate, there's a chance it becomes a disadvantage because they're handing their hand off. What do we do when
I
we
didn't
swarm?
even explain
No,
what
go
we're
ahead.
doing. All
Go
right,
ahead.
so to swarm means that you're going to trade hands to the left or to the right on either side. So
And you get to call that, right? Because you're swarming?
yes, that's correct. If my partner says which way.
Which way?
All right, let's go left. Because Merle aligns
So
his
you
cards correctly.
take a look at your cards, try to remember what you have, what you gave to the person next to you. And now we commence the bidding. So we have different hands, and this is an opportunity for Heather and I, who are now losing. We might have a better chance at winning this round and taking the bid and making trump because we traded away her terrible hand to one of the people on the other team. But the round still gets played out, so it's not a guaranteed win, but it's an opportunity to get yourself back in the game after getting dealt a hideous hand.
Mm-hmm.
Taking the Hive is if I call trump and our team gets all the points. Even if the other team gets a couple of hands, if there's no points represented in those hands and we take all 240, we actually get a bonus to 300 points instead of just getting the 195 that I won the bid with. That's taking the Hive. Flying solo is another way to win a lot of points all at one time. It is 400 points if you pick up the honeypot and see that you have a good hand and call flying solo then. It's 500 points if you're so confident in what's already in your hand that you call it before you even see the honeypot. I'm going to fly solo. So once you've called it before or after, your teammate then lays down their hand and their hand is not part of this round. So I will then play out the trump I've called against the other two people. My teammate is out of this round and I have to take all of the points. They can get a hand, but if that hand has no points on it, I'm still okay. If I take all the points, we get the amount of points I called, 400 or 500, depending on if I called before or after the honeypot. If they get any points at all, even a measly little 5, we go down that amount of points I would have won, 400 or 500, and they go up the amount of points that they score.